5 years ago, my mind was convincing me that I didn't deserve to live. And even though I was reserved and quiet on the outside, on the inside, I was screaming for help. I was traumatized by my own thoughts, and I got sick of hearing the voices. And it come to a point there where I was about to take my own life. And the only thing that stopped me was the fact that I grew up without my mum and dad, and I refused to let my kids do the same. And there's two things that I learned in those dark times that I want to share with you. Number one, your thoughts are ideas, not facts, which means you don't have to react, respond, or repeat what the mind is saying. You can listen to it, watch it, and even ignore it. You know, I had voices in my head telling me I should kill myself, and I thought I was going crazy. But you can only go crazy by acting on crazy thoughts. And the more you ignore the thoughts you don't want, the quieter they will go. And number two is, life isn't hard, it can only feel hard, because pain only exists in the mind. So if we focus on what's outside the mind, like the sounds around us, we can't feel pain in the mind. So start seeing the world as your favorite movie and listen to the sounds as if it's your favorite song, because you can't be depressed about the past or anxious about the future when you're too busy focusing on the moment. As a kid, I was a very easy target for bullies because I was very skinny, but also very quiet. And I was only quiet because I had a lot of shit going on inside my mind, because I had a lot of shit going on at home. So school for me, it was never about education, it was more of an escape. But anyway, when you're dealing with drug addicts and jailbirds and abuse at home, and then getting bullied by kids all day at school, what that does is you develop a low self-worth. You feel like you don't have any value because people made you feel like you're worthless. And at 27, I realized the environment will control who we are until we choose who we want to become. Which means if we don't set the standard on who we are, what we're about, and what we're capable of, then our childhood will set that standard for us. So if we don't challenge ourselves, get out of the comfort zone, and test out our boundaries, then our childhood will put a boundary around what we can and can't do. So if you grow up in a shitty environment, you will naturally have shitty standards. And now it's your job to go and recreate new standards that make you feel valuable. My favorite psychologist is Dr. Carl Jung. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life and you will call it fate. If you think about self-sabotage is another way of saying, I lack self-awareness. And if you want to get a high level of self-awareness, you have to be willing to walk through the valley of vulnerability. You have to be willing to go into places that makes you mentally uncomfortable. You have to be willing to put yourself in moments where you fear and you doubt yourself. And what you find is, the more you study yourself, the more you understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you can heal yourself. But until you are willing to go inward, your life will always remain the same. Life is definitely hard without confidence and nearly impossible without self-belief. You know, I was never confident and I had no self-belief. And that's only because I didn't understand it on a deeper level. But now I do, and I want to share it with you. Without courage, there is no confidence. Without confidence, there is no self-belief. They're all interconnected that lead to each other, one after the other. Courage is a decision that leads to the feeling of confidence, which then creates the thought of belief. I'll give you an example. When you first get on a bike, you make the decision to try, even though you might fall. That's courage. As you start pedaling, you feel shaky, but the more you keep going, the more comfortable you feel. That's confidence. And eventually, after enough practice, you no longer question if you can ride the bike, you just know you can. That's belief. So if you want to believe in yourself and be confident in anything, all you have to do is have the courage to try. It was always hard for me to be happy, and I struggled to get anything done. And people would tell me that the world's full of opportunity, but I couldn't see it because I was blinded by my own depression. And now I realize I wasn't depressed because of life. I was depressed because of comparison. I was just so focused on everybody else that it made me feel shitty about myself. All through my 20s, I'd spend hours a day on social media, just scrolling, watching videos and liking people's posts. And at that time, I didn't have the emotional intelligence to realize that social media didn't make me happy. It was actually the reason why I was sad, because it creates an illusion that you aren't enough or you aren't doing enough. Every post you see, you are unconsciously comparing what you look like, who you are, what you have, and how you live. which can only make you sad and lazy or jealous and unconfident. And if you feel like you're one of those, maybe it's time to turn off your phone. There was a time when I was depressed, lazy, and I had no self-belief. And now I'm happy, determined, and I have a very high level of self-belief. And all I did was create a personal law that I live by. And that law is only compete with yourself. And that's for two reasons. Number one, because comparison is mental slavery. You will never have enough because there's always going to be someone with more. This is why materialistic people are always unhappy, because they lose themselves trying to be like everybody else. And number two, your potential has a unique journey. The worst thing people do is compare themselves to people who are 10 years ahead. They get so focused on who they're not, they forget about who they could become, which makes them sad, upset, and living in a place of regret. But they don't realize that talent isn't given, it's earned through relentless repetition. So the only way for you to become better is to compete with who you were yesterday. Even Tom Brady said, you don't have to be special, you just have to be what most people aren't, and that's consistent. We call ourselves grown-ups, but act like a child every time we make a mistake. We get emotional, throw a tantrum, and blame everyone else but ourselves. And it's not that we're slow or immature, it's just because our ego won't allow us to admit that we're wrong. But when you play the blame game, your life will always remain the same. You can't blame circumstances and other people for your life being shit. You have to step up and take accountability for your own shit decisions. My life changed when I realized that life isn't controlled by your past, your life is controlled by your level of accountability. Because when you blame someone else, you react with emotion, but when you blame yourself, you react with a solution.